Hello folks, my name is Mark. This is UCD Toy Reviews. How you guys doing? Today we're taking a look at Mechagodzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. So this came out in connection with the movie that came out last year, made by a company called Playmates. Playmates made all of the Godzilla vs. Kong toys, and so far they've all been pretty good. I've done prior reviews of the Skullcrawler, and then also the Warbat. I still haven't actually managed to buy an actual Godzilla or Kong figure, but maybe one of these days I'll get around to them. Anyway, so this is Mechagodzilla, as seen in the climax of the movie. First thing that kind of jumps out at me is that it's very detailed. Like, look how detailed it is. Like, let's just kind of zoom in on that a little bit. You can really see, like, all the little rivets and, like, you know, electrical components and stuff. That kind of thing. Like, look at his head, you know. Not bad at all, right? I mean, it could use a wash over it of, like, a darker color, you know, in order to make some of those details pop or whatever. But the sculpt is really, really good, I gotta say. That's really kind of cool. So, this is actually rubbery. Like, that was another thing, like, because his design is, like, all weird and spiky and stuff like that. These back spines are actually, like, a little rubbery there, so it's like, you know, definitely made for kids to actually, like, play with. They're not going to hurt themselves with it, you know, if you, like, throw this at your little sister, it's not going to put her eye out, something like that. It actually looks kind of cool, you know. I really like the design. I think it was executed really well. A lot of the times when you get toys that are actually for children, not for adult collectors, sometimes it won't exactly be accurate. Sometimes it won't have, like, the same kind of articulation that you might want. So I think they kind of hit a nice balance here of making something that's actually, like, something that kids can enjoy and also adult collectors would, you know, feel good about displaying on a shelf, you know what I mean? So anyway, looks really cool. Comes with one of those little hovering heave, you know, vehicles, those anti-gravity vehicles that are in the movie or whatever. Let's take a look at the back. You can kind of see there's a full-size picture of Mechagodzilla. He's got some battle damage stuff going there. And then some other toys in the line. So you got Godzilla, and then Kong's Skullcrawler. We actually have a video for him. Godzilla shooting a heat ray. I guess his difference is his spines are, like, you know, blue or whatever. Warbat, got a video for that one too. And then Kong with the battle axe. So, I don't know why they have, like, Kong and then Kong with an axe. Like, why not just have one Kong? But I don't know. Sell more toys that way, I guess. Anyway, looking pretty cool. So let's go ahead and unbox this guy. So he's just got these little kind of things sticking out. Here's the tail. It's a little rubbery, bendy. It doesn't stay in position, so it's not like there's a wire running through it and then it stays or nothing like that, but you can bend it around, you know. It's got a nice pliability. Let's cut this thing right here. So I was actually very happy with this movie, by the way. I did a movie review of it not that long ago. You know, and it was like, you know, not the best movie ever, but it was a lot of fun. And definitely had really great monster fights. I mean, let's be honest, what's the reason? Why do you watch a Godzilla movie anyway? Is it for the acting? Is it for the plot? Hell no. It's to see Godzilla fight monsters and smash buildings. Right? That's why you watch a Godzilla movie. And in that respect, it actually delivered. So, okay, there is another little rubber band down here that we need to cut right down where his foot is. We need to cut that, but without cutting the actual figure. I was never a fan of this kind of... It's like, man, why not just put it in a box? But I guess this makes it cheaper, right? When you put rubber bands like this or something. I don't know. Let's see if I can just get that to come out. Kind of wanted to do this without tearing the whole box open, but oh well, too late now. Let's see. Yep, see, it's that. I gotta cut that off. Come on. There we go. Okay, it's out. Alright. First off, okay, let's see. Here's the figure. Got some good articulation on it, you know? It's very, seems a little loose, actually, but Not too bad. Will he stand up on his own? Yeah. So let's put the tail. I guess the tail just goes right here, right? And yeah, that's kind of hard to get in there. On the plus side is that it feels tough. It doesn't feel like, okay, so that was a little hard to get in. There was just a little ball joint. But on the positive side, it feels tough. It doesn't feel like any of these arms and legs are going to fall off or break or anything. This leg is a little loose here, you know, not digging that. This one is much tighter, you know. The knee joints are very tight. So we've got, let's see, we have this sort of pivot thing on his legs where they can go out like that. They can go up and down. You have knees that can bend, and then also feet that can move around like that. Same thing with his arms. You have arms that can go out that way, up this way. They can bend at the, oh wait, no, they don't actually bend. Okay, it looks like there should be elbow articulation, but there isn't. So that's kind of weird. It's like, that's okay though. They're just sort of at that position there. It looks like you should be able to bend that, but you can't. That's a little misleading, but that's okay. And then it would have been nice to have wrist articulation too. But that's alright. At least you can get some cool stances with the legs, right? That's not half bad. And then also, his head, of course, has a jaw that can open and close. Does his head move around otherwise? No, his head doesn't actually move around otherwise. So, yeah, you know, somewhat limited articulation on second viewing. It looks like you got good stuff in the knees and the feet and the legs, so you can get some good positioning out of them. Not so much for his arms. It would have been nice to have either elbow or wrist articulation, but, you know, for what we've got here, it's actually not bad at all. I mean, I actually kind of dig it. You know, you can get some cool sort of battle positions out of him, you know, whatever, right? He is pretty well weighted. He's standing up on his own. It is a little, I don't know if this is just my figure or what, but it is loose right here, this leg. I mean, it's staying when you position it, so I guess that's not bad. I don't know. It would have been nice to get a little bit more of an erect posture, you know? But you can kind of get him, he just sort of leans over like that, you know, with this, he has more of a dinosaur kind of posture. But, you know, still looks cool, you know, it'll look good on a shelf. I could see if I was, you know, if I was a kid, if I was like 11, 10 or 11, something like that, and I got this under the Christmas tree, I'd be very satisfied with it. Does feel a little fragile. So the actual figure itself is rubbery, and this, like, the pieces are resilient, but these joints, I don't know about this. These joints are going to snap right off. So if you, like, actually were a child playing with this with, like, rough play, you know, kids throwing their toys around and stuff like that, it'll break. So maybe if you buy this for your kid, tell them to be a little careful. Let's see what else we got here. We have these sort of plastic things. Let's take that off. Here's the Eve. Let's take the yep, there we go. This is the same one that came with the Warbat. Right, just colored green. So that's that little gravity spaceship fly thing that they have in the movie. And then this is, I guess, battle damage that goes on his chest or something. Let's see, let's take that out. Okay. Throw that back there. In fact, let's get rid of all this so we don't have all this garbage. Okay, so it goes there. Right, so then you can just kind of, right. There you go. So when Godzilla shoots him with the mega, you know, with the breath ray or whatever, then you could pop that off and be like, ah, my chest is burning. Okay. Pretty cool, pretty cool. So let's do a little comparisons first. This is the Skullcrawler that came out in the same line. So I did an unboxing video for this guy, you know, a couple months ago. And you can see they're about the same scale. They fit in very well with each other. You know, I mean, they're in the same line and all, so they should look good with each other on the shelf. kind of cool. I'm glad that I'm actually happy that they made a skull crawler to begin with. So that kind of fits in rather well. This is also the War Bat, which is in the same line also. The War Bats were really on screen only for about, like, 2 minutes or whatever, but it was very memorable. It was that part where, like, they're in the Hollow Earth and, like, Kong fights these two flying snake things and rips one of its heads off and, like, drinks its blood and stuff. Right? So, War Bat figure is not the best figure ever, but still, you could get some really cool action poses and make your own little kaiju battles with these guys. Look really, really cool. I do not have a Kong or Godzilla figure themselves from this line, but I do have here, this is the NECA 2014 Godzilla that came out there, right? And it's roughly the same scale. So the thing about Godzilla toys, when I collect them, I like them to be within the same scale with each other. You know what I mean? So that they look good on a shelf. So when you match them up, they don't look ridiculous. So you don't have one that's super high and super small. So yeah, you can see it fits in really well with NECA Godzilla figures. It's roughly the same size. It won't look ridiculous squaring off against them, in your diorama or whatever. So I can say that, it's actually pretty nice, man. Very, very nice. I kind of wish that there was a wash, a paint wash over this to make some of these really nice details come out. That really would have been really cool. Also, kind of wish that the joints were a little tighter, because you can see right there. See how I'm trying to get him to stand up, and he's just sort of like squishing back down into his own little squat posture. Would have been nice to be able to get him to stand up a little more. You know what I mean? To have him be like that, but he just seems to want to chill in this sort of like hunched over dinosaur kind of posture. That would have been nice. Also would have been nice to get a little bit more articulation in the arms. In particular, I really think having the hand swivel would have been really cool too. But for what we got for a mass market toy intended for actual children and not adult collectors, I think it's executed really well. So these are getting a little hard to find now. I haven't seen any of these particular Godzilla toys in stores for a while. I think they've already gone out and they've already kind of moved on to the latest Bandai Creations toys that are out now. They have Gorosaurus and a couple other ones. So if you're gonna get them, now's the time. I think you can still find them on eBay for roughly $35 or something like that. So the value on these is just going to go up. If you collect toys for their value, now's the time to buy this. Strike while the iron's hot. So before we end this, I thought it might be fun to do a comparison between this version of Mechagodzilla and older versions of the character. So these are all from Bandai's 6-inch line that came out in Japan. I think most of these are imported. Just to kind of give you a comparison to how this one stacks up. So you can see it's roughly within the same scale. Right, this is, of course, Mechagodzilla from the 70s, right, which was in, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and then also Terror of Mechagodzilla, right? So this was, yeah, so you can kind of see it's in the same scale. It's actually, the way it stands, though, is a little smaller. If you were to actually be able to straighten out his knees and get him to stand up straight, he'd be roughly the same size, but, But you can kind of see how the character evolved, and the original conception of Mechagodzilla was much more like a super robot, from the 70s, whatever. Lots of rivets and stuff like that, If you haven't actually seen any of the old movies with Mechagodzilla in them, they're both actually really good. There's good, clean, ridiculous fun. Then, of course, they made a remake of that in the 90s as part of the Heisei series. And this is, of course, Mechagodzilla 2, in which case this was the first time that Mechagodzilla was used as an actual weapon created by human beings to fight Godzilla. Kind of the same thing that they did in this Godzilla vs. Kong movie. So, as you can see, again, roughly the same scale. This one has a much more erect posture. He's actually way taller, But kind of, yeah, it's a lot more cleaner look too. You know, it's a lot more sleek, a lot more anime kind of inspired. You know, like, whereas like the American Mechagodzilla here is a lot more, you know, just rivets and little details and pipes and all these, you know, lights and things all over it to make it look like it looks more like a Transformer. You know what I mean? Like from Michael Bay's Transformers, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I don't think they went too crazy with the details in this particular version of Mechagodzilla. It's not like there's so many little moving parts and details that it just turns into a big weird mesh like the Transformers do, but you can definitely see some inspiration there. So, you know, versus like the Heisei one is like very clean, very sleek. Kind of looks like it's a, you know, jet fighter kind of thing. You know what I mean? Then in 2003, they brought Mechagodzilla back again. So this is Kiryu, right? Is what they called it. And this was from two movies that came out in, I think, 2003 and 2004, which were actually direct sequels of each other. And this one is much more anime inspired. You know, if you look at him, he's got a much more angular kind of thing. He's got like vents and stuff all over him. He has his hand that turns into a drill, you know. Looks like something out of, you know, like an anime, basically. Like something out of a video game, you know. But you can kind of say, you know, they're starting to get that more mechanical, like super detailed kind of appearance there. You know, of the three, I actually like this one the most personally, you know. Like, if I were to, like, you know, choose which one is my favorite of the original, it'd be this guy first, then the original 70s one, and then Heisei 1/3. I really like just, you know, just the way it's like angular. It kind of looks like it could whoop some ass, doesn't it? So that was cool. And then as a nice little aside, this is a figure of Mechanicong. This particular toy was put out by a company called Raymundo, that they do sort of like more obscure characters that get like, don't really tend to get Bandai releases. I mean, there was a Bandai Mechanicong toy that came out like in the 90s, which is like, you know, $300 now or some shit. So, you know, Raymundo will put out these little sort of like the characters that get ignored or whatever. So Mechanicong, of course, comes from King Kong Escapes, which if you've never seen it is sort of like the best movie ever made, ever. Right? It has Gorosaurus in it. That's where Gorosaurus started, was in King Kong Escapes. And yeah, it's incredibly wacky and ridiculous. And I don't know, man, if we were going to make these two fight, you know, American Mechagodzilla versus Mechanicong, I don't know, man. It's kind of a tough call. I'd have to go with Mechanicong myself. Anyway, thought that would be fun just to kind of show you the evolution of how Mechagodzilla has just evolved over the years and kind of, you know, come out like as part of the mythos, you know, for Godzilla. Anyway, thought that would be fun. That's all I got, folks. Adios.